Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Sunday, so we're doing our Bible reading today. We're going to do another 4 chapters today, so let's get through this. Idols and altars. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites this: You have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. Do not make any gods to be alongside me. Do not make for yourself gods of silver or gods of gold. Make an altar of earth for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, your sheep and your goats and your cattle. Wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come to you and bless you. If you make an altar of stones for me, do not build it with dressed stones, for you will defile it if you use a tool on it. And do not go up to the altar or go up to my altar on steps, or your private parts may be exposed." Okay, that's a little weird, but okay. These are the laws you are to set before them. Okay. Chapter 23, I think, maybe. I don't know. Her Hebrew servants. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year, he shall go free without paying anything. If he comes along, he is to go free alone, but if he has a wife when he comes, she is to go with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him a son or daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her master. Only the man shall go free. But if the servant declares, "I love my master and my wife and children," and do not want to go free, then his master must take him before the judges. He shall take him to the door or the door post and pierce his ear with an awl, and he will be his servant for life. What? That's a little weird. If a man sells his daughter as a servant, she is not to go free as male servants do. If she does not please the master who has selected her for himself, he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners because he has broken faith with her. If he selects her for his son, he must gain her rights of a daughter. If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and marital rights. If he does not prove her with these 3 things, she is free to go without any payment of money. Sorry, guys. Not feeling that good today. Personal injuries. Anyone who strikes a person with a fatal blow is to be put to death. However, if it is not done intentionally, but God lets it happen, they are to flee to a place where I designate. But if anyone schemes and kills someone deliberately, that person is to be taken from my altar and put to death. Anyone who attacks their father or mother is to be put to death. Anyone kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in kidnapper's possession. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. If people quarrel and one person hits another with a stone with their fists and the victim does not die but is confined to bed, the one who struck the blow will not be held liable if the other can get up and walk around outside with a staff. However, the guilty party must pay the injured person any loss of time and see that the victim is completely healed. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or 2, since the slave is their property. If people are fighting and hit a pregnant woman and she gives birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury, the offender must be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and court allows. But if there is a serious injury, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. Owner who hits a male or female slave in the eye and destroys it must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye. An owner who knocks out the tooth of a male or female slave must let the slave go for compensation for the tooth. Okay, that's, I guess, good, because if you just lose a tooth, you're on your way. If a bull gores a man or woman to death, the bull is to be stoned to death, and its meat must not be eaten. But the owner of the bull will not be held responsible. If, however, the bull has had the habit of goring, and the owner has been warned but has not kept it pinned up, and it kills a man or woman, the bull is to be stoned, and its owner also is to be put to death. However, if the payment is demanded, the owner may redeem his life by the payment, whatever it's demanded. The law also applies if the bull gores a son or daughter. Bull gores a male or female slave, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver to the master of the slave, and the bull is to be stoned to death. If anyone uncovers a pit or digs one and fails to cover it, an ox or donkey falls into it, the one who opened the pit must pay owner for the loss and take the dead animal in exchange. Oh man, if anyone's bull injures someone else's bull and it dies, the two parties are to sell the live one and divide both the money and the dead one animals equally. However, if it was known that the bull had habit of goring, yet the owner did not keep it pinned up, the owner must pay more for animal and take dead animals in exchange. Whew. It's a lot of rules, guys. Whew. Protection of property. Whoever steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in the night and struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happens after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. Anyone who steals must certainly make restitution, but if they have nothing, they must be sold to pay for their theft. If the stolen animal is found alive in their possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, they must pay back double. If anyone grazes their livestock in a field or vineyard, let them stray and they graze in someone else's field. The offender must make restitution from the best of their own field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads into thorn bushes so that it burns shocks of grain or standing grain or whole field, the one who started the fire must take restitution. If anyone gives a neighbor silver or goods for safekeeping and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if caught, must pay back double. But if the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before judges, and they must determine whether the owner of the house has laid hands on the other person's property. In all cases of illegal possession of an ox, a donkey, sheep, garment, or any other lost property about which somebody says, "This is mine," both parties are to bring their cases before the judges. The one who the judges declare guilty must pay back double to the other. If anyone gives a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any other animal to the neighbor for safekeeping and it dies or is injured or is taken away while no one is looking, the issue between them will be settled by taking an oath before the Lord that the neighbor did not lay hands on the neighbor's person's property. The owner is to accept this, and no restitution is required. But if the animal was stolen from the neighbor, restitution must be made to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by the wild animal, the neighbor shall bring in the remains as evidence and shall not be required to pay for torn animals. If anyone borrows an animal from their neighbor and is injured or dies while the owner is not present, they must make restitution. But if the owner is with the animal, and the borrower will not have to pay if the animal was hired. The money paid for the hire covers the loss. Ooh. Poor animals. Okay, social responsibilities. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price. She shall be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price for virgins. Do not allow a sorceress to live. Anyone who has sexual relationships with an animal is to be put to death. If is sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, they cry out to me. I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to one of my people among who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal, charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it by sunset, because that cloak is the only covering your neighbor has. What else can they sleep in? When they cry out to me, I will hear, for I have compensate. Do not blaspheme God or curse the ruler of your people. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You must give me firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me 8th day. You are able to be my holy people. So do not eat the meat of an animal torn by a wild beast. Throw it to the dogs. So basically, we're just going through all these. Okay, I think this will be the last one, guys. Laws of justice and mercy. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd. Do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you falling down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help them with it. Do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with a false charge, and do put an innocent or honest person to death, for I will not acquit the guilty. Do not set a bribe, for bribe blinds those who see and twist the words of the innocent. Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourself know how it feels to be a foreigner, because you were foreigners in Egypt. Nice. Sabbath laws. For 6 years you are to sow your fields and harvest the crops, but during the 7th year let the land lie unplowed and unused. Then the poor among you, your people, may get food from it, and the wild animals may eat what is left. Do the same with your vineyards and your olive grove. 6 days do your work, but on the 7th day do not work, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and so that the slave born in your household, foreigner living among you, may be refreshed. Be careful to do everything I said to you. Do not invoke the name of other gods. Do not let them be heard on your lips. Okay. God really don't like other gods. The 3 annual festivals. 3 times a year you are to celebrate a festival to me. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, as I command you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Evid, for in that month you came out of Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Celebrate the festival of harvest and the fruits of crops you sow in your field. Celebrate the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather your crops from the field. 3 times a year all the men are to appear before the sovereign Lord. Do not offer blood of a sacrifice to me along with anything containing yeast. The fat of my festival offerings must not be kept until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Okay. God's angel to prepare the way. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him. Listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion. My name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says, he says, and do all that I say, he will be an enemy to your enemies and will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, Hivitites, and Jebusites, and will wipe them out. Do not bow down before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessings will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full life span. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion. Every nation you encounter, I will make all your enemies turn back and run. I will send the hornet ahead of you to the drive of Hivitites, Canaanites, Hittites out of your way, but I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land will become desolate, and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little I will drive them out before you, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. I will give you into the hands of the people who lived in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or with their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. Dang. Okay, we got this last one. Cool. Covenant confirmed. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, and you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance, but Moses alone is to approach the Lord. Others must not come near, and the people may not come up with him." When Moses went and told the people all the Lord's words and laws, they responded with one voice, "Everything what the Lord he has said we will do." Moses then wrote down everything the Lord he had said. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it into bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altars. And then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you." In accordance with all these words, Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But God did not raise his hand against these elders of Israelite. They saw God and ate and drank. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandments I have written for their instructions." Then Moses set out Joshua his aide, and Moses went up on the mountain of the God. Said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are here with you, and anyone involved in this route can go to them." When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called Moses from within the cloud to the Israelites. The glory of God looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went up on top of the mountain and stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Dang. That's kind of scary. Well, I just want to say thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.